Hello friends, welcome back. In our previous video, we were discussing on the IRC 78 Part 2 limit state method, in which we discussed about the limit state design methodology for Open Foundation. See, the agenda of this video is not to teach the foundation design using IRC 78 limit state method, but to uh, follow a path or is to pivot from the IRC 78 WSM method to the LSM method. So today we'll be covering about the pile foundation. So pile foundation has to be designed under three conditions, that is piles under compression, under tension and under lateral load. So moving on next, the ultimate and the ultimate limit state and the serviceability limit state. These are the two limit state that we need to cater for design of piles under limit state methodology. Check for equilibrium for piles are generally not required. So moving on to the strength part. In strength, see, there are three factors. One is the load factor, second is the material factor, and third one is the resistance factor. This is very similar to what we had in the. So for load factor, IRC 78 suggests or refers to the table B4 of IRC 6. You need to follow the load factors given in IRC 6. So there are four combination: combination 1, combination 2, seismic combination and accidental combination. In reference to the pile design, there is some additional data or information suggested by the code in addition to what is given in the table B4 of IRC 6, such as SV loading. So it says for combination 1 the factor shall be 1.15 and for combination 2 it shall be 1. For piles that are subjected to lateral loads, so there are two cases due to lateral load due to the non-seismic action, such as different surcharge at abutment or at excavation location. The combination 1 shall be 1.5 and combination 2 factor shall be 1.3. For accidental and seismic combination, the factor shall be 1. Again, for seismic action means the lateral load on pile due to seismic action, we shall refer to the table P4 itself. And there is a case of negative skin friction. So when pile is subjected to negative skin friction or in the calculation of negative skin friction, for combination 1 and accidental combination, the factor shall be 1.35. For combination 2 and seismic combination, factor shall be 1. Moving on, we have material safety factor. So in that case, IRC 78 suggests us to follow table 4. So it has given criteria on which set to be used in which condition. So the set 1 and set 2 is defined in table 2 of IRC 78 and we have to read this table 4 in conjunction with the table 2. So for example, for computation of ground resistance in vertical direction in combination 2 and in seismic combination, we need to refer set 1, and what is set 1 is defined in table 2. Moving on to the next factor, that is the resistance factor. As we have already discussed that the resistance factor is a factor which depends on how we calculate the capacity or how we calculate the there can be options, either the pile is resting on soil or pile is resting on rock or intermediate soil material. So first we see the pile is resting on soil. So there are various methods to calculate the capacity of piles resting on soil. First is by using the ground parameters obtained from the site investigation. This is say we have the SPT value, we have the C5 value, and based on that calculate the capacity of pile. Second, by calculation from profile of ground test results obtained from in situ site investigation such as cone penetration test. Third is directly we calculate the capacity from static pile load test. Next, we can calculate the capacity from dynamic pile load test. Again, moving on, we can calculate the pile resistance from pile driving formula. So based on this method, if we see the first method, what we'll get is from the calculation we'll get the characteristic base resistance and we'll get the characteristic shaft resistance, that is the friction. We have to divide the base resistance by gamma B and the shaft resistance by gamma S in order to get the reduced capacity of pile. The gamma B and the gamma S is defined in table 5, and in case we don't have the resistance separately for base and shaft, we have to divide it by gamma T. And gamma T is essentially the higher of gamma B or S. After this calculation, we have to divide the entire load, that is the reduced capacity, of with model factor 2 in this case. So this way we'll get the ultimate design resistance or the capacity of pile. Now here the GR1 is for load combination 1 and GR2 is for load combination 2. In our second method, uh, where we are calculating the pile capacity from in situ site investigation. So it is based on the number of tests we carry out to calculate the capacity of the pile. The higher the number of tests that we are doing, it increases the confidence on the value that we have from the site testing. So for example, if we have done only one test, the factor is CR 1.4, which is the CR1, the correlation factor 1, and CR2 is the correlation factor 2. Similarly, as we increase the number of tests to more than equal to 5, the correlation factors reduces to 1.23 and 1.14. Now, to calculate the characteristic calculated capacity of pile, we need to take the minimum of mean calculated capacity divided by CR1 or the maximum or the minimum calculated capacity divided by CR2. So we'll get the characteristic calculated capacity of pile. This characteristic calculated capacity pile is further to be divided with the again in our next method, that is if we calculate the capacity of pile from static pile load test, we need to refer to table 7. So again, we have similar philosophy or concept. As the number of tests increases, the correlation factor 3 and 4 decreases. And the very similar formula that the characteristic capacity of pile is equal to minimum of the mean measured capacity divided by CR. Now the minimum measured capacity divided by, again, the design resistance or the pile capacity shall be obtained by dividing QC or by dividing QC by partial factors of resistance shown in table 5. So in this case, we don't have the separate capacity for base and shaft, so we need to divide it by gamma T. Again, sorry, in our previous section also we need to follow this method, that we need to divide it by gamma B and gamma S and then further divided by model factor also. Again, in our next method, that is from dynamic pile load test, we have very similar methodology based on the number of, we have a correlation factor CR4 and CR5 and CR6, and we get the characteristic capacity of pile QUC, which is equal to minimum of mean capacity divided by CR5 or the minimum capacity divided by CR6. Again, similarly, the characteristic pile capacity is to be divided by gamma t, and which is to be further divided by gamma with the model factor. There is mark that these factors shall be multiplied by a factor of 0.85 if signal matching is out, which will just reduce this correlation factors. If we calculate the capacity of pile from pile driving formula, we need to refer to the table 8 with model factor 1.1 when quasi-elastic pile head displacement is measured and 1.2 when it is not. So next we have is the negative skin friction. For negative skin friction, the code says to refer table 4 and table 2. Again, for the group action of pile, the code has divided in the sections in two. First is for the compressive load and for the negative skin friction. For compressive load, the ground resistance factor of open shall be used for base resistance. Okay. So whatever there will be a block shear failure for group action, and the bottom of the pile is to be treated as open foundation during a calculation of block shear failure. So the ground resistance factor is also be taken from open foundation case, and the material partial safety factor for individual pile is to be considered for group action also. For negative skin friction, nothing specific is specified. So we may follow the same as we are doing for individual piles. Moving on to next, that is the serviceability part. We have, as we may see that the pile is resting in medium to dense soil, the partial factor ultimate design have been so chosen that the occurrence of serviceability limit state in the supported structure is prevented. So it is saying that since we are choosing the factor such that the ultimate is our governing criteria and serviceability is automatically taken care of by that factors, thus the settlement check is not required. However, if the settlement is required of soil is not in medium to dense soil or the soil is cohesive, the settlement may be calculated by the clause IRC clause 709.3.4 of IRC 78 for quasi-permanent load combination given in table B3 and for quasi-permanent load combination given in table B3 of IRC 6 using IS 8009 part 2. So what it is saying is that for medium to dense soil, we don't need to calculate, and in case the soil is cohesive or not medium to dense, we need to calculate the settlement. However, there is no explicit criteria provided for the settlement of pile under quasi-permanent load combination. However, we need to follow that for riders' comfort or the structural safety point of view. For superstructure also, we need to take at least the slope of the superstructure in proportion to the 1 by 400 that we take that we discussed in the open foundation section. So at least that we need to follow, and in case there is an structural continuity, this settlement is to be catered or taken care of in the design of superstructure and the substructure also. So in our next video, we'll discuss about the piles in rock or intermediate soil material. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.